All right, so it looks like we are live. My name is Craig Shiel, and I
I'm
have with
Mary
me Mary.
Murata.
Yep, and happy snow day for most of you up here in the New England area. And Mary and I decided to still hold at least a part of our presentation for Medfield Digital Learning Day. We're bummed that we actually didn't get to go there personally, in person, but we thought, why not? Let's try this out and let's see what happens. It looks like we have 2 viewers that have joined in already. So,
Nice.
so did you want to add anything else, Mary, before we
No,
begin?
I think it's just kind of great that I know that Medfield teachers have put a lot of time and effort into preparing for this day. But as teachers, we always know that there's a plan B. So I'm kind of glad that we decided to do this hangout. I'm not 100% comfortable live broadcasting, if I've done it before, but I like the fact that we said we're going to give it a try and show our presentation and have a conversation with folks.
That's right. That's right. So, all right, so let's make this happen. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So give me 1 second here. All right. So Mary, can you just verify? Do you see
Yes,
this?
I see your screen.
Okay. So just like what Mary was saying, you know, it's always good to have a plan B. And this what we are demonstrating right now can be a great alternative to a situation where you might have a snow day, but you can still have students complete some tasks, or I know a lot of schools do like blizzard bags or something like that. This can be an example of how you can help support your students or deliver some content out. And we're obviously using Google Hangout on air.
Or teacher, Craig, even teachers for PD.
Absolutely, absolutely. So this was our original description as to you know, what we were going to talk about today, and I think you know, tech is part of our world, and you know, everywhere you turn around, there's something new. There's something there's this device, that device. But I think it's important that, you know, we all learn how to use technology efficiently and productively, so that you're not wasting a lot of time. And so the first example I'm going to showcase is something called the random name picker from Flippitynet. And I'm a big fan of this particular tool or name picker. There's lots out there, random name generators, lots and lots out there. But I really like this one for the ease, excuse me, of changing from groups to lining people up. And I'm just going to quickly show you. So you obviously could just type flippity.net random name generator or picker, and you'll get to their website. And it's literally a 4-step process, and they explain it all on their website. The first thing you do is you grab their template. And so that template is a Google Sheet. And so I've already pre-populated names. And you know what? I'm going to add Mary on this. Why not, Mary?
Go ahead.
So
I know who else is in the hangout. We could have added them.
Oh, that's true. This is true. So I'm sure I could figure that out somewhere. Let's see. It says, oh, if this is really true, it says 21 people are watching us right now. So
no
anyway,
pressure or anything. So we're not going to type those 21 names in.
Yeah. No pressure. So here's my list of students. It's just a Google Sheet. Then I come down here to this little tab, and it says Get Link Here. And what you do, and again, it walks you through. It says go to File, then you have to say Publish to the web and Publish. So I'll just quickly show you that. So I've already done that. Here's my link, okay? So I went ahead and did that. And then you paste that link, which I've already done, in this green box right here. By doing that, this guy shows up. So I'm going to go ahead and launch that. And this is, again, unique to my Google Sheet. So here are my choices. And let's say I want, with all of my students, groups of 3. And within seconds, it has picked my random, oh, poor Nolan's all by himself. Poor guy.
He's a good independent worker.
Yes, yes, he is. He is. If you don't like that, you just come down here and you just say reshuffle, right? So I can reshuffle as many times as I want. But I then can quickly say I want 2 teams,
Oh,
right?
that's awesome.
Or I want a lineup now, or I want single name. So I love this because a lot of the random name generators that you see online are just more of this particular screen right here where it randomly picks a name on who's coming next. But as we know, our classrooms change constantly. And with conversations or the direction that things are going in, you might be like, you know what? Now's the time. I want everyone in groups of 4. So I just really like this. And you just keep going to this Google Sheet and grab that link to get to Flippity. I believe their recommendation is to bookmark this link. You could also choose to create a folder in your drive, just called Random Name Picker, and then you would need a sheet for each of your classes. So if you're teaching middle school and high school, you would need multiple of these. But that is a very quick way of being efficient and getting at a task that could take some time if you don't have a tool like this. Have you used this before, Mary?
I've used it before, not for the randomizer one. I've actually used it. It's almost like a Jeopardy game. So are there different templates?
Yeah, so if I just quickly go to the website, here's flippity.net. And this one is their way of using a Google spreadsheet to make flashcards. But down here at the bottom, you're talking about this one, using a
Yes.
Google.
Yeah, I've seen the quiz show, but I've never tried. Is the random name picker new?
I'd say probably within a year, I think.
Okay.
But yeah, as you can see, they have lots of things here. They also have this badge tracker on there, which is something I kind of looked at, but I haven't really gone into a lot of detail on. So
I could see us using this at a staff meeting when it's time to break into groups too. So the
sure.
same teachers don't always sit together.
Absolutely. So I think we somehow deleted our slide. I'm just gonna move on to the next topic and then Mary's gonna join in. So there are ways of being efficient when it comes to grading papers. And I hear it a lot. And I guess I should have said from the beginning, I'm a tech integrator at a high school in New Hampshire, Bedford High School. And I was a former math teacher, taught for 8 years. And this is actually my 5th year as a tech integrator. But I hear a lot from teachers saying, you know, it's just, I'm not as quick at grading online than I am just, you know, with paper and pen. And so there are some ways to try and speed that process up. And so I just wanted to show a couple tricks. So one of those is, and a lot of people don't realize this, if I go into, and I forget,
The tools menu, yep.
Yep, the tools, and you come down to preferences. I'm going to show 2 separate things here. You can come in here and you can create your own shortcuts. So let's say you're a teacher that loves to write, like, do a little check mark when you agree with a paragraph or a statement. I've created a shortcut, just GPP. And anytime I type those 3 letters in a row, it's going to automatically replace it with a green check mark. Or if I don't agree with the point that someone is saying, I just type WPP and a red X is going to come up there. So I'm going to demonstrate that. So let's say I'm coming in here. I'm going to go into suggestion mode. I'm going to say GPP. Oops, let me try that again. Hold on 1 second. Space, there's my check mark. So I've agreed with that statement. WPP, oh, I don't agree with that. I've also have others in here. Let's say from here, CIT. So and you're like, whoa, what just happened there? That's just something that I put in there. Whenever I write CIT, it replaces the whole statement with, watch this video on proper way of citing source. And it's a YouTube link. See me if you still need help. So instead of me typing that and taking the time, if you write, or if you have common things that you write on a paper, instead of typing that in every single time times however many students you have, you can create little shortcuts to help you with that. So that's one little trick or idea. Again, you just come over here to Tools, you come down to Preferences, and then if I want to add a new one, I don't know. Mary, do you have something? I don't know what I'd write.
You say reminder to use footnote or something.
Yeah, so remind footnote. So I just typed RFT, must include in footnote, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
You'll notice that I selected, so if I come in here now, and I could say, oh, RFT.
Craig, I can see your share screen, but I think a couple people are saying they can't see the share screen in the Hangout.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
We just got a tweet on it, so.
Oh, we did.
Yeah.
We can't see your screen here on the Hangout. Oh, that's interesting. All right, so let me do this. All right. Okay, so can you see me here?
Yeah, I can see you.
All right, so I'm going to try this again. Oh, that's a bummer if no one's been able to see anything this whole time. All right, so let me come down and you know what? It was working just fine when we practiced, Mary.
I know, but I can still see you. So I'm wondering if we can tell people if they notice something, if they can type in the chat as well, so they can let us know.
Okay, so let's see here. Can you see my screen?
Well, I could see your screen earlier, so I guess the question that I would have would be, can anyone else see it?
All right, so if someone can help us out, if anyone's still watching, I guess.
Yeah. So I guess like Alice, I know that Alice Barr was watching, and I'm curious if we can get a message back from her if she can see it.
All right. Oh, well, that's disappointing.
Well, that's okay. We're only a slide or two deep. We can see if we can get it fixed now.
Oh, too funny. All right. Well, we'll just, yeah. Well, okay. Well, how about we try this? How about we try this, Mary? I'm going to stop sharing, and why don't you share your screen?
Okay.
And maybe it's local to my device.
Yeah, we can give that a try. And then you can check to see if anyone's online with us that they can direct message you.
Sure.
Okay, so I'm going to jump into the presentation, and I'm curious if people can see it now. And are we getting any feedback?
Not yet.
Okay. So I guess plan B would have been maybe having somebody on the phone too, that other than you and I, that can see it.
Oh man, too funny. Okay, so we now can see your slides. All right.
Oh, awesome.
Okay.
All right. So we can just recap a little bit that Craig went through and showed Flippity. So if you didn't get a chance to see that, he basically talked about the fact that he could go to flippity.net, and he gave us the site, and he put students into a spreadsheet. And do you want me to link to the template and show it, Craig?
Sure, yeah, go for it.
Considering I've never used it before, what the heck? So he talked about the fact that he could toggle between students, and he had set them up. And I don't know if maybe I'm not the owner of it. I'm going to see if I'm getting a nice slow spin now. But he puts students in groups of 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then he was able to go through and on the spreadsheet, break them into groups. So I thought that was a pretty interesting little tidbit to use. I've used Class Dojo a little bit to do randomizing.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's individual, and I don't recall putting students into sheets. Okay, so one of the ones that I was going to talk about was Screencastify, which I really liked using this in the classroom with students, particularly on Chromebooks. And basically, it's a Chrome extension. We happen to have it pushed out, so all students, when they use the Chromebooks, it's on their toolbar. As a matter of fact, yesterday I went into a Spanish class, and I was showing the kids. I went to the YouTube editor, and I said, oh, let's go in and take a look at the webcam in the YouTube editor. And sure enough, I didn't realize it had disappeared. So I jumped into Screencastify to show students the fact that once they have this little button, can you see me circling the button, Craig, in the
Yes, yes,
okay,
I can.
so I'm not 100% sure what people can see at this point. So I'm just going to show you, and hopefully this is going to work. I'm going to pop out of my presentation. And then actually, my extension is right here. So if I click on Screencastify, I get some different options here. And I'm going to tell it that I want to start recording. I can even have it with the webcam in the lower right-hand corner of the screen. Some of my students don't like this. They don't like their face coming up on the webcam and viewing them. So I've literally worked with kids to just tell them put their thumb or a small sticky sheet over the webcam. And that way you're actually recording voice, but it saves it as a movie file so they can publish it to YouTube. And as we know, once it's in YouTube, there's lots of different things that you can do with it. You can insert it in a Google slide. You can use it with Padlet. So for me, that's a great workaround. So once you come up here to Screencastify and you click Start Recording, I'm going to tell it my entire screen. And my webcam turns on. And if I then go into present mode, I could toggle between my slides. And one of the things that I show in the next slide is that when I'm finished with this recording, I can actually insert a YouTube video, and I gave a link to it, so that if I wanted to describe what I see with tulips and my knowledge and information about that, this is a workaround like you can do in PowerPoint, having audio actually work on the slide. Screencastify allows you to go through anything that you see on your desktop, and when you're finished, you're simply going to click Stop Sharing. And then I'm going to escape out of this, and it will give me the option then if I want to store this in my Google Drive. So see, now you can actually hear me record everything that I just said to you. And I'm actually going to stop it now. But what I have the option
double Mary happening.
And I do have the option then to share that, and I can tell it to go to my Google Drive, or I can tell it to go to YouTube, and I can also tell it that I want to get the link. One of the things that I warn kids about is make sure that when they do this, that it's set to people that have the link, not public on the web. So notice my link just appeared. If you press Control-C, you can copy that. And I also love this little feature that whatever I recorded, I did this yesterday, I can share with the teacher directly in their Google Classroom. So it's a great way if you just want to collect a link. We were practicing Spanish recordings yesterday, and I had them put it in Google Classroom. The teacher liked the fact that it was there. And we talked about she was going to do an exercise where she was going to give every kid a slide in the class, and they were going to have to read. And then from there, I told her once we had that link, I'll get to in a minute, that I come back to it, that we could actually insert it in a slide, or we could insert it in a Padlet. Can you still hear me okay, Craig?
Absolutely.
Okay, so if I wanted to insert that video on the slide, I set it up ahead of time. You just simply come to Insert, you come to Video, and this is where you pretend your audio file is a video. You just simply, I happen to have a link, the one that I just made a second ago. I can search for it, I can click on that. I'm actually not going to do it because I already have one there, but I can then insert it right in the slide. And I always give the link below it. If I go into full screen mode, what should happen, I'm going to give it a try. I'm being brave here, Craig. You make me try different things. Let me see if I can play my video that I did yesterday.
Maybe.
I'm going to stop that, which we obviously don't have today. So I really like the fact that you can do Screencastify to record anything on your screen. If students are anxious about getting up and giving a presentation, they could screen record their 10 slides, publish it to YouTube, turn it in. And also, I think that's one of those efficient classroom techniques, because sometimes you simply don't have the opportunity to have 25 students present. You could have them all publish. And then you can have students watch each other's presentations and make comments on them as well.
Right. Yeah. And I love the, you know, and you and I talked about this not too long ago about how to embed an audio, you know, trick it, make it an audio. And I think that's brilliant, because that's been a #1 complaint from teachers with Google presentations or Google Slides, however you want to call it, the fact that you can't embed an audio file. So I think that's a great trick, a great way of being efficient in terms of trying to make that happen.
Yep. So I think that's a good little tip. So the next slide, I had that, I think you already did with the custom commenting.
Yeah, and hopefully people, well, I guess people didn't see that, so, but that's okay.
We can move on to the voice commenting.
Okay.
So
yeah,
do you want me to stop sharing and share it back with you? Do we want to give that a try, or do you want me to show it?
Why don't you go ahead and show it? Go for it.
Okay. So let me give that a try. So if I come into my Drive and I'm going to open a document, I didn't have one open. So I'm going to create a new document. Okay. And are you able to see my screen?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So if I come to the Tools menu and I click on Voice Typing, hopefully, when I'm ready, I'm going to click here to speak. Good morning, everyone. I am using Google Docs and voice typing on this snowy day. I'm going to stop by clicking the microphone here. And as you can see, it recorded everything that I just did on my screen. So I think that's another great little, I'm going to come back to it. We gave you a link to where to get to that information. I think it's on the next slide here. And can you still see that, Craig?
Yeah, I can still see it.
So I think that voice typing, and I'm actually just checking to see which slide we have it on here. Do you remember which one it was, Craig? Oh yeah, it was on slide number 7. So again, we kind of gave the link in a blog post that talks about it. We had an example document, but I think that's great. It could be a motivator for students. They can brainstorm, have it start typing. We've also had students that, you know, have had a broken hand, they're in a cast. It's just cumbersome for them to type. I don't know if you've had other examples of when you use voice typing.
No, I think that I mean, you've hit it right on.
Okay.
Yeah, and I see Julie has in the little chat has said you can say period or exclamation and it will type it'll type it for you as well. So that is helpful. That is a trick that, you know, people should know about. So thank you,
Yep.
Julie, for saying that.
Thanks, Julie. I think it's a little bit like for those people that have used, I think it was like Dragon speech recognition, that you can go in and you can train it as well. I will have to say, I've used it in school, and if I've been in a classroom and there's a lot of noise, it hasn't worked that well, but it worked much better with a headset and a microphone as well.
Good point. Good point.
Okay, so what we're going to talk about next?
Good question. So I'm going to have you keep your screen, and then
Okay.
I think I'll try it again on number 9. But I think
Okay.
another big thing that Mary and I wanted to make sure people were aware of is how easy it can be for students to have some sort of digital presence or portfolio, or whatever you want to call it. I know we call it portfolio of work, and we use Google Sites to do that. But there are situations where you, for a particular class, you might want students just to quickly grab and organize all of their work that they've done to showcase their learning. And so Mary was going to talk about Padlet real quick, and actually show. We have an example of hyperdocs, Mary, that you found.
Yeah. So a little bit about, I'm going to continue with that class that I did yesterday just to talk about it a little bit. So once, and it really only took a class period to show this to students. I actually showed them how to do a recording. And once they had published that link to YouTube, I simply went into Padlet and I had the teacher create a wall, and I invited the students to all put their little Padlet on the wall, and actually insert their link, so we could quickly and easily collect all that student information instead of turning it into Google Classroom. And the beauty about it was they could all see each other's work. The other way that I used it, I had each student last year in the Spanish class create their own Padlet wall, and then every week they were responsible for going to the Padlet wall and then showing, it was either reading or a video of speaking in Spanish. And then what we hope to do is show progression over time. So I think we started it in January, and by the time they got to, you know, the end of March, they had a half dozen stickies on the wall, and the way that their pronunciation was much better, and they could see them progressing over time. But the kids took it to the next level too. They actually knew they were being recorded. They did cooking shows in Spanish. They also did some karaoke plays in Spanish and singing, and I think it just brought a lot of fun into the classroom. But what I noticed on Twitter, which I'm going to talk about in this presentation a little bit too, is hyperdocs on Padlet. And I noticed that if I, hopefully this is going to work, I'm going to go and click on a link, and people are using Padlets in lots of different ways, and they're talking about hyperdocs. And I'm a big fan of watching some of this information online. And if you're talking about digital citizenship, for instance, somebody put together Padlet with a lesson about talking about digital citizenship. So people are sharing lots of good information. I know there's one in here on the SAMR model, which we're starting to talk about in our district. So instead of everyone starting in square one, I think it's great that you can go in and you can look at examples of documents that are already created. And you could go in and actually look at the document, and it's just hyperlinked. It reminds me a little bit back in the days when we used to do web quests. I'm not sure if people remember that, but you had your lesson, your objectives, your activities, and everything was hyperlinked. This hyperdoc reminds me of that. And I think it's great that a group of high school English teachers could all share their lesson and quickly and easily put up a Padlet and add their information. So it's another nice way of.
Can you stay right on that Padlet, Mary?
Sure.
One thing I do want people to be aware of in case they've never heard of Padlet before or never used it. It's very easy. It's free to use. You can sign in with your school Google account and you create a wall. You do have the ability to change permissions.
Do you want me to create one, Craig, right here?
Well, that one's public.
Yeah.
So if you want to just demonstrate how you could like add something to that actual wall, I
could even just, okay.
Or if you're already signed in, yeah, if you want to show them real quick.
Yep, I could just go to Padlet. Maybe. Okay, so when I get to my Padlet, this is what I have kids do. I have them go in and say they're going to make a new Padlet. And you get to this blank space. Just by double clicking, demo of Padlet, I have the ability to write on the screen, and this is going to be a recording of tulips that I did earlier, or the demo that I just did recording my screen. Then I have the ability to hear where it says to click on an attachment. If I choose to, I can say a link from the web, and I still have that there. Let's see if I can paste that in. I can add that video right onto the page, and I can move it to any location on the page. Some of the other things that I can do, if I come into Padlet, the kids like going in and picking the fact that they can do a different wallpaper in the background. So this is what we did. I'm glad I did this yesterday. It's fresh in my my mind here, what I worked on. And then the next time the kids come in, I always have them change the link so it's not some random link like this.
Yeah.
And I have them come over. So I would be logged in, and it's Padlet.com and Marauder, and I can say that this is my Medfield demo that I'm doing for my friend Neil. It says that URL is available, and I can pick it.
It's in the blue, right above where you just typed.
So it will show up right here in the blue. And then what I do with teachers, I have them make a Google form, and we only have to do this once. We make the Google form, and then I have them collect the URLs, and we link that to their Google site pages. And then it's very easily, the next time the teacher just goes back to that list, and then they'll have the second sticky on the wall the next time the student adds the information in. So I know you do a great job with portfolios at your high school, Craig. They're in Google Sites, and it's far more elaborate, but I found that this was a great entryway to get teachers to be efficient, and I can do it in a class period or two, and the kids really seem to like it.
Absolutely. Neil has asked the question, am I the only one that's not heard of HyperDoc before? And to answer Neil's question, no, because I only discovered it from Mary earlier this week. So you are not the only one.
I've seen a lot of people tweeting. So that, I think that kind of leads into our next slide, that we're talking about the importance of using Twitter. So maybe I'll let you talk a little bit about Twitter and how you're using it. But my lead-in was, if you use the hashtag HyperDocs, you're going to see lots of those HyperDocs linked to Padlet walls.
Yeah, so we'll try and, so if you want to unshare your screen, we'll try this again for me. And if people could let us know whether or not they can see it, that'd be great. If you can't, then we're just gonna have to have Mary run the show here. So
that's scary.
So let's see. All right, so give me 1 second. Okay. So
can you get the screen now, Craig?
All right, so can anyone see Incognito?
I see Incognito.
Okay, so I'm just curious to see if anyone can write in our little notes here. If they can see the screen, that would be great. I'm just waiting. I just don't want to waste people's time if they can't see the screen. So maybe I should go to I'll just go right to Twitter. So I'm hoping that people can actually see the twitter.com website. So I will wait. Maybe I can just start talking. So I'll just start talking, and if people can like wave us down or something, if you really can't see the screen. Yes, okay, good. Alice says she could see it. Okay, perfect. So I apologize earlier, folks, for why you couldn't see my screen. All right, so
Craig, I'm just going to interrupt for a second.
Yes.
I think you do this intentional because I said you're doing the first 5 slides because I haven't done this in a while. So I think you set me up that just to make me nervous that I had to do the first 5 slides.
Yeah, you know, it's all good. So you know, I know lots of people are on Twitter, but not everyone's on Twitter. But in order to showcase what we're going to share right now, you do not have to have a Twitter account, which is why I'm in incognito mode. I went to a session not too long ago by Travis Allen, and some of you may know that individual, but he really opened my eyes in terms of searching. And I've used Twitter now. I was a student of Mary's like 4 years ago, and she was the one that introduced me to Twitter. And I've been using it. I've been sharing content. I've been receiving content. But what Travis opened my eyes to was the fact that instead of going to Google and Googling it, like we always say, Google it for your answer, when it comes to looking for something in for a particular assignment, or you're just looking for a new way of doing something, you should Twitter it, because people on Twitter have already done the hard work for you in terms of sifting through all the stuff. When you do a Google search, you get, you know, hundreds of thousands of hits when you type in a keyword. But when it comes to Twitter, you have people who have very recently found some things that they have found important for that particular topic. So again, I'm in incognito mode. It doesn't know that I have a Twitter account. Just come to the search piece right here, and I'm just going to type in hyperdocs. Mary was just talking about that. And so here I can quickly find things that people have talked about. And this is another great way of actually growing your professional learning network. You see the same person sharing some information. You will click on links. It'll bring you to other places. So Twitter it instead of Googling it can really open your eyes in terms of things out there. So I'm curious.
I just retweeted, Craig, I just retweeted your tweet from yesterday about what is hyperdocs and a definition. So if people are following me on Twitter, M. Murata, or following you on Twitter at C. Shield, they can see some of those tweets. And we're also using the hashtag Medfield.
Yeah. So it's just another way of growing your professional learning network without doing a lot of work. You know, and again, these are people who've gone online. They've said, you know what, this is cool. I want to show people the latest, the greatest in this particular thing. People are doing that, so why not already get that stuff that has been sifted through. So that was our little piece on. Did you want to add more on professional learning network, Mary?
Well, the other thing too that I find really interesting, I don't know if we touched upon it. I've used Twitter quite a bit, but what I really find quite efficient, a lot of the chats that they have. So there's a lot of chats by content area that are run at different times. I don't know if we have a link to that on the page.
Yes, we do.
But I know that when I've been in classes, that's one of the things that I've had students actually do. So your homework assignment tonight is, you know, to go online and follow an ed chat. And I like the way that they send out a poll. What do you want to talk about? And I've picked up lots of good links and things that personally I will take and then I'll try to decipher. I learned about that audio through one of the ed chats, and people were tweeting it out. And I went through the video, and that's my professional development. I'll figure out how did somebody do it. I'll try to replicate it. I'll retweet it, or I'll add it to a presentation. So I think Craig's pulling up the screen. And that's a hook for teachers, because a lot of teachers think, well, Twitter's kind of stupid. There's not a whole lot there that I can do. But if you realize that if you're a world language teacher, there are chats on that for special education, for English. And when you start talking with content teachers outside of your high school, outside of your area, you can learn a great deal.
Right, right. So I just, as you were talking there, Mary, I just pulled up a link that we have. And again, we'll share that link to our presentation at the end. But, you know, or you could Google it. Here's an instance where you might Google it, or you might Twitter it. Who knows? But you can get to a site that already has all the hashtags, chats, and when they happen. So, so I just wanted to pull that up. And then the other thing that in Twitter, in case you didn't know about this, those of you who use it, there are Twitter polls. So I did go on yesterday and I stated, so let's come here. Let's see if I can find that actual.
And while you're looking for that, Craig, I noticed Neil tweeted out this morning, and I'm glad he's here joining us. He tweeted out, if it hadn't been canceled, he had a poll, would you have come to Medfield anyways? And my answer was yes, I would have driven very slowly, but I probably would have made my way to Medfield. But I'm really glad that we're doing this online, because I think we're modeling what we're trying to get to with blended learning and what's the next step that we can do without necessarily having to drive someplace.
Absolutely.
So, a little bit of a recovery.
Absolutely. And so it's very easy. So as you can see, I only had, 4 lonely votes. It's for 24 hours, and basically you just come up to tweet and you just select poll, and you can ask your questions. So that's just another quick way of getting data from people out there. And I got 4 lonely votes, but hey, that was still 4 lonely votes, and people preferred Screencastify over Snagit. So just a little
So,
FYI.
Craig, one of the ways that we use Twitter poll, we have a journalism class that we do video announcements using Telestream and Wirecast, and the kids will do a video cast, and in it, I think we had something that students had to do, give a presentation, and then have the high school kids vote for them. So what was great was by the time they were wrapping up and finishing video announcements, they had collected their polling information, and they had winners. So I thought it was great that we could plug that in and get live feedback from students while we were doing video broadcasts.
Right. So so I'm just looking at the time. It's already 12:13. Can you believe we've been chatting for 45 minutes, Mary?
Wow.
So we have a little participation moment now. So everyone that's at home watching, both Mary and I are going to show you quick ways of getting some feedback. So I'm gonna start first, and we are gonna ask you guys to help us out and participate. So I'm gonna show you something really quickly in Socrative, or some people say it differently, but I guess I say it's Socrative or Socrative. And then Mary's gonna show you Poll Everywhere embedded right into Google Slides. So 2 very quick, easy things, easy ways to be efficient here. So I'm gonna, oops, hold on one second. I need to share my screen again, so hopefully people will see this. Again, I don't know why it was weird last time. Okay, so Mary, do you see the screen?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so what I need people to do is, I believe, this is a, Socrative is web-based. They have apps, so if you have iPads or smart devices, they have separate app for teacher and for student, and you can also, they have a Chrome app. So there's many different ways that you can get at this, help and participate. But I'm going to quickly demonstrate how you can use this tool for an exit ticket. A lot of people use this for making a quiz and having all students answer. A lot of people use it for like the space race review game, but it is so easy to create an exit ticket, because there's lots of times where you're in an environment, you have 5-10 minutes, you ran out of stuff, and you're like, okay, now what? Well, especially in a one-to-one environment, this is a great way of getting formative feedback from your students before they leave. So I think it's, Mary, do you know? I think it's I should have tested this out obviously before. Nope. Oh, what is the student view? I'm trying to, maybe it's here. So there it is. msocrative.com student .com. Yes, student.
I have a student login. It says B Socrative.
Okay, yeah, bsocrative.com.
Yep.
Student. I should have, see, my bad. I should have tested that out before. bsocrative.com. And what you're going to do is you're going to type in this code 05E11008. Yes. Okay. All right. We'll see if anyone is able to do this or not. But basically, what happens? All I did was just click a button, a single button, and there are 3 questions that are automatically created every single time. And I believe the first one is something like rate your experience today. I think another one is something like I don't know.
Right, could you show that? Oh, I see the number. All right, I'm just going to put the number in. So they just go to student and then they type in that 05.
05E11008. You know, so I can see I have 2 people who were able to get in, and they've already answered the first question. And then I believe something like the second question is more of an open-ended question, something like, what did you learn from today? And then the third one is, it says something like, your teacher will have a question for you. And so that's where teachers go on and they will write it on the board. So they always leave one question very open-ended for the teacher for that particular moment. And they just make it up on the fly. So you can see, yeah. So, oh, look at this. Lots of people are getting in. Woohoo!
Nice.
And then the nice thing about this is this does then, it can export right to a Google Sheet. And then you have your data and you can do whatever you want with it. So it's just a very, very quick way. Again, all I did was, it's a free account for the teacher, and I believe you can sign in with your Google account. And I didn't pre-create anything for the day. I just hit the exit ticket, and obviously, you know, question number 3 could be, you know, how many inches of snow are you supposed to get in your area? And that you can fill that in if you want. But yeah, so that's just a very quick way of getting formative assessment. And I know I'm going to stop with that. I'm going to go ahead and finish this, whether you guys are finished or not. Or actually, I'll keep it open. I'm going to not share my screen, and we'll go back to Mary. And Mary, you're going to talk about Poll Everywhere. Poll Everywhere is not new, but very recently you've been able to embed it into a Google Slide presentation by using a Chrome extension, Poll Everywhere. So Mary, will you be able to share your screen?
I certainly hope so. We'll see.
Okay.
So hopefully I can get to the presentation. And can you see my screen?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, and while you're there, Mary, those are the 2. That's what the student and the teacher apps look like if you have a mobile device. So we just wanted to take a screenshot there. Yeah.
So I really like Socrative. Just to make a note on that too, I found like I got away from that a little bit because it seems to be people are really obsessed with Kahoot in my district, which I think is also another great way to collect information like that. But I also, just to add to it, I think it's great to mix it up a little bit by having a couple of different products. So the kid isn't playing Kahoot and 3 different classes that same day. I like that, along with what I'm going to show you in my next slide. So hopefully everyone can see my screen. And what happens is that you make an account with Poll Everywhere. Can you hear me okay, Craig?
Yep, you're
okay,
good to
just want
go.
to make sure.
Yep.
So you make an account with Poll Everywhere, and then you go and you install the extension. So I kept looking up across the top of the screen for the extension, and I couldn't find it. Well, it actually drops it right into your menu. So can you see right here on my screen, right next to my table menu, there's now a Poll Everywhere menu.
Mm-hmm.
So you have the ability, once you're logged into your account, you can go in and say that you want to create a poll, or if you already made one before, you can insert a poll. So again, I think this is a great way to be efficient because for some teachers, it could be the first step. I already have my presentation created. I'm checking for understanding. It's quite easy to go in and insert the poll. One of the drawbacks, it's free for up to 40 users. So I was going to use this for video broadcasting in our school, but I had 100 kids. So I jumped into the Twitter poll, but in my slides or in a class, I've actually used this. So you would just come into your slide presentation and you would come to Poll Everywhere. I already created the poll, and it's going to appear on my next slide. So you have to be in presentation mode. And I'm going to go to the next slide, and it's going to activate Poll Everywhere.
We'll keep our fingers crossed.
Well, it worked 3 minutes ago. I'll be actually more than, oh, let me come back. Okay, so I put in the question right before I started the demo, do you think Google Hangouts is a good backup on a snow day? So you can go to, I'm hoping everyone can see my screen that I'm sharing. You can go to this pollev.com Emirata, and you can put in whether you thought it was a good idea, A, B, or C, or you can simply text to 22333, Murata, and then pick A, B, or C. So if anyone wants to try that, this is using Poll Everywhere. And I did use this live at a presentation that I gave in December. And I asked the questions based on the presentation, the tools and the extensions that I showed, what people liked most, or if they were bored, or if they were engaged, and we got feedback right away in the screen.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm waiting for a few more people. I know we have an audience here.
So I think, just to reiterate, I think, you know, that again, there's two ways of doing this, and you know, especially with students who are, you know, who are in a one-to-one environment, you know, doing the website can be very easy. And again, all you do is type in pollev.com/ and then for Mary's sake, it's MMAROTTA. And you can get to the website or via texting. I'm going to stop talking so we can see it. Mary, you want to start talking?
Sure. So the texting, again, they can do to 22333 and then MMAROTTA. And what will happen is you can gather information. So can they still see my screen?
Yep.
And anyways, this is a great way that you can actually, without a whole lot of preparation and planning, you can have your results. And it's a quick way to check for understanding without having to necessarily jump into another program. So I've been pretty happy with this. I think I just started using it about a month or so ago, and so far so good.
And I know you said this, Mary, but I think it's important for people to understand that, yes, it's a Chrome extension, but it does not live at the very top right corner with all the other extensions in Chrome. It's located in Google. It's located in Google Slides. So every time you open a slide, if you've added that extension to your account, it will always be there for every slide every Google slide presentation that you make.
Yeah. Yep, it's great. So I've been happy with that.
So we have 5 minutes. I don't know if we had Google Keep on there. I don't know. Do we want to chat about that? What do you want to do
Yeah,
next?
this has kind of turned out to be one of my favorites. So I'm going to try to just quickly touch upon this. So I assume I'm still screen sharing here. But if you go to keep.google.com, it's a great way that I can go in and say I want to add a note, and I can tell it snow day, and I can come into this location and say it was a checklist. I can change the color of my notes. I could also add a label. So I have some already set up. So this is for Google Apps. I can click the fact that it's Google Apps. Some of the other things that I can do, I can add an image. But once I make my notes, I can set reminders. I'm going to show you just a couple of the notes that I had. So once I had my information set up, you can go in and you could add in more information, and it makes these nice little lists in your documents. One of the other things that you can do that I really like, you can sort based on all your labels. So now just my Google Apps for Education ones are coming up. I put a little sticky in there on why to use Google Keep. But to be honest, I really like Google Keep more on a mobile device, which would be a little bit tricky for me to show you right now. But by having it on your mobile device, you have the ability to reach your camera roll and upload an image quite easily. You can also use a voice note, so you can upload that as well. So I was putting some information online here, and I've used a bunch of different stickies. And what I like about it is once I click on it, I then have the ability to say that I can share this. So if I go and share my list with Craig, it will pop up in his Google Keep. And in my school, this automatically pops up with students. So I've had students actually take notes and then share it with me. And then once you share that information, you can also put it directly into Google Docs. So definitely worth a look. I would recommend using this one. I think I've even done some things like on a personal level with, family by having lists and sharing lists. So I like the tool. I gave a link in my blog or in the presentation to my blog where you could actually, where you could actually go in and get more information on Google Keep. But it's definitely worth looking at.
Perfect. All right.
I'm just closing out some of those screens. So one of the things I wanted to mention too, Craig and I, a little bit of a self-advertising here. There's a lot of information on Google. We teach a summer class at Fitchburg State University and around Google Apps for Educators, and we are going to be offering one this spring and again during the summer. So we do that too because it gives us an opportunity to dig a little deeper into some of these tools. Craig,
yes.
Anything you want to add?
No, I think, I know that this day, I know this snow day was kind of a surprise for a lot of people. And I know Medfield people put in a lot of time and effort into making a really awesome day for their staff. And I'm just thrilled that, Neil allowed us to do this and that we actually have a live audience right now. I've done Google Hangouts on there before, but I've never had a live audience. So I've actually learned a lot today, even through this presentation of just being ways of being efficient and productive. So it's always great to not only share, but to be a learner. And this is just another example of that. So it's been a lot of fun, and I appreciate people joining in.
And I think the Medfield teachers have inspired us so much. I know that next year, Craig, you're planning to do a digital day of learning, aren't you, in your school district?
Yeah. So we're doing that because of the things that people are doing in Medfield. So yeah, so I'm really excited about that. Again, I'm in Bedford, New Hampshire, so our district will be doing something very similar to what Medfield had planned for today.
Great. Well, I hope everybody enjoyed this. Craig, thanks for getting me up and out of bed on this snow day and challenging me to do this. It was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun, and thank you everyone for walking us through this, and thanks for all the comments in the on Google Plus. So I guess it's now time to say goodbye, everyone.
Signing off. We hope we see some more little demos going on this afternoon from the Medfield teachers. Give it a try. We'll join in.
And that's a good point. I believe Neil is doing his on YouTube, I think at 1:30 this afternoon. So feel free and check that out. So goodbye, everyone.
Signing off.
Have a great day.